research shows that if you have one or two board members, it's just a tokenistic way of gender representation. But if you have three or more, that is the real effect of a board member, and you can contribute to the agenda. You change the culture of the organization, and it will lead to company's business performance improvement as well. So the 30% is a magical number.
Welcome to Aiyo Moments Decoded, where we try to decode everyday Aiyo moments that come across our way. Today, the Aiyo moment comes from boardrooms. We often hear in that boardrooms the question, Aiyo, where are the women in our boardrooms? But if you check with the board-ready women, they will often explain that what they hear is, you are not ready yet. So it makes you wonder, if women keep on hearing, you are not yet ready, how will they ever make it to boardrooms? Joining here today with me to decode this is Gayani De Alwis, Chairperson of Women Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Independent Non-Executive Director of Singer Sri Lanka, Global Marine Investments Private Limited, and Logicia Private Limited, as well as she is the former Customer Service Director of Unilever Ceylon. Aiyo and welcome, Gayani. Aiyo. Gayani, you built your career in areas such as logistics, supply chain, and governance. Those are kind of known to be male-dominated industries. So have you ever come across instances in your personal life that the leadership was assumed to be in a certain way?
Thank you, Gani. I think personally what I feel is leadership is gender neutral, right? So personally during my career in my first workplace, I didn't actually think about leadership in a specific stereotypical way. But having said that, the society and the workplaces, people look at things in a different way. But I would say that if you are competent and if you're confident, because competence gives you confidence, and with that, you will be in a different level to contribute to the organizational agenda. But how I feel is, especially women leaders, we must forget about our gender and just go about doing the normal way, whatever that you are capable of. So with competence, you will actually gain confidence. Confidence will give you strategic visibility, and that's very important, because normally, if the organizational agenda is not very clearly understood by women, then your ability to go and deliver it will be very minimal. So I would say we have to be confident. Although the ecosystem look at leadership traits in a more male-centric way, but if you ignore all of that and go about delivering your capabilities, obviously there is value that hopefully the organization leadership will understand. And for me personally, that has really worked for me.
When questions about corporate governance happens in Sri Lanka, we often hear, Aiyo, where are the women in boardrooms? But that is actually being followed with another explanation. We can't really find suitable women. So, Gayani, what is your perspective about leadership? The question is actually the availability of suitable women, or is it that the way that the organizations look at leadership?
No, I think that's a very good question, because this is a very common thing that everybody is asking. Where are the women? But it's not only unique to Sri Lanka. Globally, that is a common problem. But I would say there are 2 or 3 reasons why this is being asked time and time again. Because normal ecosystem is male dominant. And therefore, you see more women in the C-suite level and at higher leadership levels. So, but the network still goes into that setup to look for board ready people. I would say board ready people, without talking about the gender, right? But having said that, when you have networks where are more male centric, if you have like a directory, yeah, where women, board ready women are there, obviously you cannot ask that question. So I would say already chartered accountants have a directory, which they initiated in 2019, and later on they updated it. But I think this has to be done on an annual basis, and then at least you will have an up-to-date document. And I'm part of the Sri Lanka Institute of Directors Women Directors Forum. We also did a e-directory continuously. Also Lanka LMD, also in their LMD 100 list, also they also have a assessment on the board ready women, and board analysis is being done. So now I think more and more organizations are getting into this space and, publishing these directories. So I think that actually will be a great initiative, because then nobody can give that as an excuse anymore. But we as women also must come forward. Sometimes when you ask your name to get listed, I have heard, especially in many circles, that women also not say, I am not ready yet. Maybe you're not a director, but you're a board ready person holding a C-suite role. But sometimes women also have this problem. So that actually are multiple reasons, but having a strong network is one thing, where the directory will help you to identify such women. And also, again, if you put the question back onto the woman, sometimes we don't have enough in the pipeline. That's another problem, right? We have a sticky flow, not many getting into the world of work. And then we have a leaking pipeline also. And then we ask, where are the women? Because we are not getting the opportunity. We have a very limited number of women. So that's another challenge. And we are also burdened with triple burden, because unless you have a critical mass, you don't get noticed. You don't get into the consideration set. So that's a bigger problem as well. So all these are contributory factors. Now I think slowly things are getting improved, but awareness is getting created. I don't think this question will be asked in the future, because women are becoming stronger, and women are being getting noticed, and women are performing in boards. So that will actually be a good sign for women in leadership.
Many women, including you and I, sometimes have heard the word that you are not yet ready. So, how do you think, from your experience and perspective, Gayani, leadership can be defined? Do you think that the leadership definition is gender biased?
So you as women, we have to be very strategic in driving these leadership qualities, and to showcase to the leadership in the organization. So you have to strategically understand what are the organizational goal realization. So you need to be strategic in driving that agenda. So acquiring strategic skills are very important, because if you're not competent to deliver, because in my books, you have to be competent rather than just because you're a woman that you should get allocated to a board position. It is shouldn't be the case. And I for one, is against this quota system. But of course, you need a certain level of women in the board to achieve the agenda. So that is what normally organizations push for. But I feel women have to be competent, and that competence should be acquiring the right skills, which is actually to develop organization into the future, because we see a lot of challenging situations around us globally with geopolitics and all of that. So what is important for us is how do we really acquire these future ready skills strategically, which is affecting organizations in a really a big way now. So your impact to the organization should drive those agendas in a positive sense. Number two is you have to be a good communicator. You need to be visible. You need to be effectively communicating, and you need to really develop your own personal brand. Very important, because you should be known for something. And what is your USP? You need to be very clear in understanding what you bring to the table. Very important, because board room should be very diverse, but what is the different skill set you bring to the table? That should be clearly understood. And also, you should be very resilient. You should be very resilient. And women by nature, I'm not again stereotyping female traits, but women by nature are very high in EQ. Now, whether you have artificial intelligence and doing all this in the computer space, digitalized space, but you still need humans to manage consumer relationships, people relationships, all that matters, supplier relationship, customer relationships, all that are very important traits that women are really good at. So if we have that kind of specialized skill inherent in us, obviously we should demonstrate those skills as well. So I would say, in summary, We have to be strategic in acquiring our skills, and we must look at the organizational agenda, and we should contribute, and we need to challenge the current status quo, and really be seen to be driving the company agenda, and then have good communication skills and relationship building skills as well. So those things will make you noticeable, and then you will get into the consideration set.
Starting from where you stopped, you talked about that apart from the quota systems and the governance rules change, women, they themselves have to pull up their socks and be more visible, build their personal branding, and be identifying confidently what they are bringing to the table. So Gayani, as one of the most experienced board directors in Sri Lanka, if you are talking to young women who are watching this program, who are aspiring to be board ready for one of the days in their career, what do you think that they should start doing now to be board ready? So they will never hear the word, Aiyo, you're not ready.
Yeah, I think as I reiterated before also, strategically, intentionally, you need to develop strategic visibility. That is very important. For that, I mentioned earlier also, your personal brand is very important. So if you're confident, because you have to be very strategic in whatever you do, and you have to do it intentionally as well. Consciously, you need to, whatever you do, you need to really build that brand image and then get involved. So, for example, you need to get involved. You must always, when there is some strategic project that is coming up in the company, you should raise your hands and I will volunteer to be part of this team. So, strategic projects, which gives you visibility. That is very important, because if everyone is looking for women, you should be there when those decisions are taken, because there are so many unconscious biases whether we like it or not. So unless you put yourself forward, this will not happen. And of course, you need to have mentors. Mentors will guide you, but sponsors will advocate you. So strategically, when you look at that, so identify mentors, identify sponsors who will support you. And also, whenever there's an opportunity, you should be always communicating very effectively. So there are ways and means nowadays, to practice yourself, work under somebody, acquire those specific skills, and be a relationship builder. So all that will give you a lot of visibility. So you have to consciously do that. Do you have a LinkedIn profile which you updated properly? These are some of the things that you need to do, because nowadays people will look at the LinkedIn profile to see where are these women. Of course, you have these directories. Of course, you have all of that. If you're there in the domain that is accessible to anyone, and then you have to keep updating and talk about. You should be a thought leader. You should be an influencer. All that will help you to get that recognition and visibility. So consciously, I would say, strategic visibility had to be developed. To do that, you need to be competent. Competence will give you confidence. Confidence will give you that visibility. So that is my advice to you.
Aiyo, where are the women in our boards? Maybe the question is not exactly where are the women. Maybe the question is whether we are ready to recognize them. Whether women, for board ready women, are showing up consciously. Whether they are building their visibility strategically. As Gayani correctly mentioned, mentors guide and support you. Sponsors advocate for you. So it's up for the women who are looking forward to be board ready to choose your mentors correctly and look for sponsors wisely. If today's conversation made you pause and think, please do share it with someone who might enjoy it as well. And stay tuned for more episodes of Aiyo Moments Decoded, where we decode everyday Aiyo moments in our work and life. Thank you.
විශ්වාසයෙන් සපමිනි ගමන හෙටටත් ඔබ සමඟ අකණ්ඩයි බෑන් ඒෂයා බැංකුව සැබවින්ම ශ්‍රී ලාංකේයයි.